Twitch, and welcome back to another Raleigh Reacts video. If you're new to my Raleigh Reacts videos, these are essentially videos where I pretty much talk about anything that you guys send me. All video submissions are sent to me on my Instagram. A lot of them are horse abuse or about horses, but it really can be about anything. If you are interested in extra content from me, you can become a channel member here on YouTube or check out my Patreon account. The link is in the description down below. Okay. Before we get into this video, I have to address some things regarding my last video. I did lose about, I want to say like 2,000 crazy subscribers unsubscribed from me, so I'm very happy about that, you guys. It's a win. It really made me wonder how any of these people thought that my channel was a safe space for them to just condone a murder. There are a few things that I would like to address in this video, and a lot of things that I've seen on the internet. Something I mentioned in my last video is that I am not someone who was familiar with Charlie Kirk, and honestly, it didn't matter because this guy was just sharing his opinions regardless of how inflammatory people think his opinions are. At the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was a man, a father, a husband who was just sharing his opinions, his political opinions, his religious opinions on college campuses. The common criticism that I received in my last video for literally standing up for somebody who was murdered and people were celebrating it was that I need to educate myself more. Oh my God, Raleigh, I can't believe you would say that. I can't believe you would stick up for a Nazi. I can't believe that you wouldn't vote. I can't believe that you would take this stance. This isn't it. You need to educate yourself. You guys missed the mark so hard. I encourage all of you to educate yourself, actually. You pushed me in that direction. I educated myself. Now, although I disagree with some of the things that Charlie Kirk said, if you actually watch his long form, and that's the key, his long form content, he does not say any of the things that you guys claim that he says. You're blatantly taking his words out of context. The roots of his arguments were simply just his own personal political opinions or religious beliefs. It was nothing more than that. And you guys only saw short form clips and you're parroting each other, which makes me believe that none of you guys have actually watched any of Charlie's long form content, because if you had, you would understand how grotesquely misinformed you are when it comes to his actual beliefs and things that he's actually said. People, again, just take one sentence and use it against him without understanding the context. The reason this is so wrong is because you are using this misinformation, these lies, to justify his murder. I can't tell you how many comments I saw. Yeah, he shouldn't have been killed, but yeah, murder's wrong, but no, ew. Ew, 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 ew. If you have to say murder is wrong, but Charlie didn't deserve to die, but what society, like, what's going on inside your brain? I mean, seriously, and what planet are you living on where you honestly think it's okay and you're justifying someone being shot? And before anybody says that that's not justifying someone being shot, it is. How do you not get that? How do you not understand how not okay that is? So for all of the people who were commenting on my last video saying that I needed to educate myself, you need to educate yourself. I also saw this video that was just phenomenal. It was so well done. And I know a lot of people were saying, but he's a conservative. So this video was so well done. He's a gay black man that made a video on Charlie Kirk and how people are spreading lies about him on the internet to justify his assassination. And I just can't understand how people would honestly think that this is something I would condone on my channel. I literally made an entire video about how people were taking my words out of context just a couple of weeks ago. But I know that none of you guys are gonna go watch his long form content because, judging on my last video, every single person who disliked it and left a nasty, misinformed comment about Charlie Kirk only watched 2 minutes into that video. So no wonder you guys all think that this guy's a Nazi. I mean, you're literally just parroting what the next person says on Reddit. That's honestly the reason why I made my post and I said you guys need to go touch grass. And I want to reiterate, does that mean that you have to agree with everything Charlie Kirk says? No. You just have to actually understand the context of what he's saying. You can still disagree. And actually, I think that Bernie Sanders made a fantastic video on this where he was educating people on how important it is to be able to disagree with each other without political violence. Let's go over the common critiques of myself that people made, because people were really upset, and it's honestly quite hilarious. Firstly, to every single person who was mad that I said that I don't vote, I encourage you to watch this video. This video actually perfectly outlines why I don't vote. To the people who say, but why haven't you spoken out about Palestine? Why haven't you spoken out about school shootings? Why haven't you spoken out about blah, 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 blah? Firstly, I did speak out about school shootings, but none of you guys actually watched that video long enough to even see it. But this is classic whataboutism. Whataboutism is a classic diversion strategy. But what about this? Yeah, you're talking about that, but what about this? This completely unrelated other issue. Listen, if you don't understand the cultural significance of Charlie Kirk's assassination and subsequently all of the people justifying it, there is no reasoning with you. Moreover, the main reason that I made my video about Charlie Kirk's assassination, condemning all of the people celebrating this online, is simply because of that. Because I was sickened. I was absolutely sickened to go online and see all of the thousands of people condoning it and celebrating it and justifying it and making fun of his wife and his kids. Someone who was literally just sharing his opinion. And I do not care what anybody says. If you honestly believe that this man was doing anything other than sharing his opinion on college campuses, you're being manipulated. You just are. And that's coming from someone who's politically in the middle. I'm literally politically neutral. He's not a Nazi. Get out of here with that. I'm so sick of people saying that this guy was a Nazi. Nazis don't go around to college campuses debating people and sharing their differences. That's absolutely insane that people would call him a Nazi. And I saw a lot of people saying, well, I haven't seen people celebrating his death, really, because it's all over the internet. And I don't believe that you haven't seen it. I think that you're just backpedaling. But lastly, to this point, I encourage everybody who asks me why I chose to speak out about this event and not others to look up the circle of concern, influence, and control. And you'll understand why I do not speak out on every single issue. But I have since decided that I will try to speak out about more issues and more activism beyond just horses. That's something that I recently decided after these last few days. And finally, the last criticism that I saw parroted all across that video was that I need to understand the paradox of tolerance. You need to understand the paradox of tolerance. Anybody who's using the paradox of tolerance to justify a murder has no idea what the paradox of tolerance actually is, and you're literally just parroting crap that you're seeing on Reddit or whatever sort of echo chamber that you exist in because you clearly don't go outside much. Essentially, the paradox of tolerance is where society is tolerant without limits. Therefore, society's ability to remain tolerant is eventually destroyed by intolerance. In other words, unlimited tolerance leads to the disappearance of tolerance itself. Now, I'm sorry, it's just so stupid. It's such a stupid argument. The reason why this is so flawed is because murder is intolerance. It is always intolerance. It is never justified. Murder strips away a person of their most basic rights, which is life, their right to live. Therefore, this contradicts the very purpose and the very meaning of the paradox of tolerance. And I honestly can't even believe that people were even using that as like justification. He wasn't even that controversial or provocative, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. I mean, again, like I said, I disagreed with some of the things that he said, but I didn't even find him to be that controversial of a figure. Like what people were saying, certainly not a Nazi. You guys are crazy for saying that. But I wanted to shout out a few of these people who I saw just so eloquently speaking about this, just fantastic videos speaking about this horrific tragedy. But I'm sure that there's still going to be plenty of people in the comments below saying the same stupid stuff about how they hate Charlie and he deserved to die, or saying the same stupid stuff about, well, I didn't like Charlie, but he still deserved to die for XYZ reasons. Crazy. Listen, if you don't get it by this point, you just don't want to. And there's no reasoning with you.
This guy was shot, and he's been on our show, been on my podcast. I talk to him. I like to him. I like everybody. I talk to everybody. I think I'm glad I took that approach. So the people who mocked his death or justified it, I think you're gross. I have no use for you. The people who are saying now we're at war, I have no use for you. I think the real war is not between left or right. It's for the people it's between the people on both sides who want a war and the people who don't.
And that leads me to this. I do not and never have condoned violence on my channel, ever, because it's a core belief that I just don't stand for. Additionally, I do not condone cancel culture. I know I saw a lot of people being like, wow, that's really hypocritical of you, Raleigh. No, it isn't. I've never condoned cancel culture. Cancel culture is when you're canceling somebody online simply because they disagree with you, which really shows that none of you guys have actually watched very many of my videos. A common theme on my channel, for those of you who are longtime watchers, you know I've always said it's okay for people to disagree with me. It's okay for people to have different opinions than me. I don't care. People make videos about me disagreeing with me every single day, and it doesn't bother me. And I'm not sending you guys to go cancel these people because they disagree with me. No, that's cancel culture. What I do stand for on my channel is reporting abuse. When I react to abuse of any kind, abuse that is illegal, abuse that is problematic, people posting abuse that is not up for negotiation, those are the people that I say, go report. And that's pretty much the extent of it. Everyone has the right to say what they want to say, including Charlie Kirk. And he didn't deserve to die at all, period. And anybody justifying it, you're literally just sick in the head. There's no reasoning with you. I left up all of those nasty, ill-informed comments, people slandering Charlie and his family on my last video, because I want you people to know that we all have to answer for our behavior and our words. And you will too. You will too. So with peace and love, all of you who condone a murder, an assassination of another human being simply for sharing his opinions, and you're glorifying it even online, because I've seen your comments, please dislike the video, unsubscribe, and get the fuck off my page. Now that that's done and over with, let's get into the reactions. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see people posting stuff like this. Thank God. Why risk your life? Today was not our day. First, my young horse Oscar was already on his toes. While tacking up, he was restless because his friends were far away. 5 minutes into our ride, he freaked out from a tractor. He normally doesn't worry about tractors. Then I realized my new riding tights didn't suit my new secondhand bargain saddle. Too slippery. It didn't feel safe. My plan had been to take Oscar for a canter on the open hill, but it was super windy. So I thought, you know what? Today's not our day. Let's go back home. I'm sure all the professional riders I know would never chicken out like this, but I just didn't feel like risking my life. Oscar gets worked nearly every day, so missing one really doesn't matter. He threw me 3 times in the past year. I normally get off a horse before I get thrown, but with this boy, I don't feel it coming. Better safe than sorry. Tomorrow is another day. Oh my God. Firstly, girl, you do not need to justify that at all. I like how she says, I know all the pro riders probably wouldn't do this. Maybe they should. Because pro riders, a lot of them, instead of getting off and walking their horses or being like, hey, maybe my horse, this just isn't his day. Instead of doing that, a lot of them will force their horse or beat their horse into doing what they want them to do, which is really bad. I've always advocated for this. I think it's so good to see people doing this. And it's not something that people should take lightly. You don't gamble with your life. You don't gamble with your life when you're riding horses. If you know that your horse is just having a bad day, or even if you're having a bad day, don't even risk it. I'm sure she loves her son, so I want to get that out of the way first and foremost. What I've noticed with a lot of parents that put their kids in situations like this is just that they are ill-informed. A lot of parents that put their children in dangerous situations around horses or on horses, they do it because they're just unknowledgeable. And I'm not saying that as an insult, because I think obviously every single parent, at least you would hope, loves their children, wants the best for their children, wants their children to be safe. Here's the thing. As much as you want your kids to be riding horses, really it's only safe when they can do it on their own. That's the only time it's actually somewhat safe, and you can't even really call it safe. But knowing the horse and teaching your child to be the rider that can handle what the horse throws them, meaning that they are capable of riding whatever horse you put them on, skill-wise. That's the best way to ensure their safety. When I was a lesson instructor, it was always of the utmost importance for me to match children with horses that fit their skill level. That was so important for me. And you know what? I never had a kid fall off, ever. The problem with putting kids on you, strapped on your body, and obviously I'm not even going to get into the helmet thing because you guys know how I feel about helmets. They should absolutely, at bare minimum, been wearing helmets, but I'm not going to get into that because that's obvious. But strapping children to your body, regardless of if you have a helmet on or not, is so dangerous because if you fall, you cannot control yourself. You will have an uncontrolled fall unless you do an emergency dismount, which is going to be extremely hard with a child. And I know a lot of people say that I trust my horse. I know my horses. You shouldn't. I trust my horses and I know my horses, but I don't trust them like that. I don't trust my horses to not spook, to not have instinctual moments. Set yourself and set your children up for success when it comes to horseback riding, because the saddest part, whenever I see kids fall and take nasty falls, they almost never return to the horseback riding sport. I've seen a lot of people who have even come out and done trail rides at my boarding facility as adults who have said that they never thought they would ever ride horses again because they took a bad fall when they were a kid. So set your children up for success, keep them safe, and always wear helmets, please.
And that is the problem with the internet. 20 years Socks has been on this planet and nobody's heard anything about him until I put him on the internet, because in real life, he's fine. He's just a spicy horse. You lot have turned him into this monster. You built him up into this outrageous horse that's gonna do this, it's just Socks. Look at it. So Socks the Stallion has been on this planet for 20 years. And in those 20 years, he has been to hundreds of shows.
At this point, Tanya doesn't even believe what she's saying. She doesn't even believe herself. And it's very obvious. I mean, people have pointed out how this horse has no teeth and she sticks his hand in his mouth because he has no teeth. And oh, looky here, she's sticking her hand in his mouth because he has no teeth, which is the main criticism. And she has the horse in a stall, isolated, because that's the main criticism. That's part of the reason why he behaves so poorly. It's also considered animal abuse to not put your horse out with other horses when they're herd animals at their very core. Even when he does go out, she keeps him socially isolated, full time. He's never around other horses. She also ignores genuine criticism about herself. Genuine criticism like, hey, you can get a horse gelded at any age, so why won't you? And she'll blatantly lie and deflect and say, well, you actually can't geld them past 2 or 3, which is just not true. It's not true. If you look at her face and watch her face while she makes these videos, she knows that she's trolling. She's trolling for attention.
Not one person in real life has had a bad thing to say about Socks. Not one. There's no stories over the past 20 years of when Socks the Stallion went to that show and did this and who went to that team chasing event and caused havoc. Not one. Because this horse, every now and again when I get on him at a show, he'll have a little buck, but nothing. I've seen horses act much worse in warm-ups. The second I put him on the internet, I am met by this mob of predominantly young people who bearing in mind we weren't even born when Socks and I were out competing. And they have torn him apart and torn me apart, literally picked on us for everything. I abuse him because I keep him in the field by himself. I abuse him because I don't stop him crib biting, which everybody knows you can't stop them crib biting. My saddle doesn't fit, my bit doesn't fit, I ride him wrong. People even zoom in to see if they can find spur marks on him. It's unbelievable. Anyway.
There's a huge difference between criticism of somebody else and sharing opinions. You have an opinion, I have an opinion. We share the opinions, we debate the opinions, versus actual hate. Tanya knows that she does not get hate. She knows that she does not get hate. She knows that she gets genuine criticism. She's posting these videos of her horse to make her horse look bad for attention. She knows that it makes her horse look bad. If your horse was so great, if your horse didn't have any problems, why not only post those videos? I couldn't even get my horse to behave even remotely like Socks for a video. If you want to disprove people, including myself, on the internet, it is so easy, Tanya. It's so easy. Like, I'm not even hating on you for this. I want you to call a vet. You can sit there and say that I didn't know. I didn't know how to deal with his cribbing. I didn't know that keeping him in social isolation caused all these problems. I want Tanya to call a vet. I want her to get help for this horse because he deserves it. I want her to geld this horse because he deserves it. He deserves to live a peaceful, happy life with other horses. My problem with Tanya is not everything that has transpired, but every single thing that she's refusing to do to make her horse's future quality of life better. Why won't you just help your horse? People would like you. And I really, you know what? I genuinely mean this, Tanya. People would like you if you said in a video, I'm going to geld him so he can start living a better life with other horses. And I'm going to start taking care of his teeth. There is never too late to make a positive change in your horse's life, Tanya. And people would like you. People would like you. And you would probably have a larger following if you did that. So that's really all I have to say to Tanya. Thank you guys so much for watching today's Raleigh Reacts video. If you want me to start speaking out about more issues regarding activism on all different types of subjects, I definitely will. I feel like having a neutral perspective when it comes to a lot of things, especially politically, is important. It's important for people to come together. It's important for people to be able to be friends with people that they disagree with, for people to have family members that they disagree with. It's important to have that dialogue, to know that you actually have more in common with your neighbor than what you think. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have for my video today. I love you guys, and all of those links will be down below. Again, I will see you in my next video. Bye.